Okay, so I have my slides up here. I am super excited to talk to you all about building your career remotely since we're all kind of doing that right now. It's a very interesting time. A little bit about myself. My name's Chloe Condon, and I work as a cloud advocate at Microsoft, which is a pretty unique role. I get to engage with developer communities in a lot of different ways. Typically, that involves anything from going to different meetups or traveling to different conferences. Of course, I'm not doing that now, and most of my engagement is being done through social, so through different kind of online engagements. So I put together this presentation with that in mind, that we're all home, and there's really no way for us to go out and shake hands and mingle and meet people face to face. So these are my tips and tricks for how you can build your career remotely from the comfort of your own home and maybe even from your own couch in sweatpants, if that's the way that you choose to do it. So, I'd like to start out by just talking about the word networking. I don't know about y'all, but networking is not a word that I particularly like. It kind of makes me cringe a little bit when I think about, ooh, networking. So, networking helps us do a lot of really amazing things. But for the sake of this talk, and maybe you picked up on the theme from this GIF here, if you're a fan of Friends, we're going to think about networking not as networking. Just forget about that word. It's a yucky word. We don't want to think about it. We're going to think of it as friend making. And just stay with me here. I promise it makes sense. So here, I've got my friends image here. So think about networking more like friend making. So, friend making and networking can connect you to jobs. Personally, myself, I've gotten a lot of job opportunities through different friends that I've met through the community. It can help you find like minded people in the industry. So, maybe you're really passionate about IoT, or you really like to do maker things, or maybe you're really, really into Kubernetes right now. You can find those communities online. It can introduce you to new communities. Personally, as I mentioned before, when I came into tech, I was totally unfamiliar with the maker space. And I've gotten really involved with the maker space through different online communities I've joined. It can help you find mentorship and career advice. So, a lot of people that maybe you would typically think, oh, I usually go onto LinkedIn, or I send a cold email to someone to reach out to who I really respect and look up to. You can actually find a lot of those mentors and get career advice through these social media platforms. Friend making, much like networking, can be a support system. So maybe you are in an underrepresented group in tech, like myself, I'm a woman in tech, or maybe you're even just looking for folks who, a support system sometimes when you're banging your head against the wall on a particular API that you're working on that day. Um, and it can also introduce you to new opportunities. I know right now is kind of an interesting time to be job searching, but many of us are out there. And you can actually find a lot of really interesting opportunities that may not be listed on a typical job page, or accessible by cold applying. You can actually find a lot of people posting about jobs through your friend network. Get it? Friend network. I combined both of them. So I have a couple tips here on how to be authentic and professional when you are on social media. So, what you share in your profiles online, so I'm talking Twitter, personal website, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram tend to be a little bit more personal, but they're still sort of our business card that represents us on the internet. You really want your profiles online to you want to think of them almost as your digital business card. So my tips and tricks here are, you really want to make sure that you're representing yourself appropriately online. So I know there's a tendency sometimes to have a cartoon or an avatar of yourself, but especially when you're job searching, having that human actual photo of you there can be a really, really great way to humanize the person on the other end. Personally, I attend a lot of conferences, and I'll meet people and they'll say, "Oh, it's me, Danger 5000 from Twitter. I'm the dog cartoon." And of course, I don't have the digital memory association of a dog cartoon with the person. So having your image up there is a really, really great way to kind of be human, humanize yourself on the internet. So try to make your image not a cartoon, not your baby, not your dog, even though your dog or your baby is super cute, not your favorite meme. Make it you, because it's really it's representative of who you are on the internet. Um, And then also, I have a great example here. So, this is an example I love to show. This is my friend Kimberly's personal website. You really want to make sure that what you have on there, be that your Twitter bio, be that your Instagram bio, be that your LinkedIn, but especially your personal website, to really represent who you are. I love Kimberly's example as a great example because she says her name, Kimberly Johnson, and she says, "Hi there, I'm a full stack software engineer." I already know who this person is and what she does. She, of course, here has this carousel that has a bunch of different projects that she features, including her Twitter and recent projects she's collaborated with Twilio. She's got her portfolio, her resume, her blog on here. So really, it's a one-stop shop to know who this person is, what they're all about. And what's great about a personal website, you can link it in your Twitter bio and in your Instagram bio. So that way, if people want to learn more about you besides what you're limited to in a bio, you can go there. So beyond that, there's a couple other tips that I think are worth mentioning about being a good participant on the internet, so to speak. So friendship, much like networking, takes effort. So there's a common saying, you have to give as much to the friendship as you receive, and I think that's really true with being someone online, interacting, especially with digital communities like we all are doing now. So it's not enough to just like and view content, especially on platforms like Twitter. Engaging with folks online and getting involved in the conversations online are really the key element of being able to build that network or friend group, like we're going to call it in this talk. So, a really, really cool example of this, which is a personal example that happened to me that I would love to share with y'all, is a tweet that I wrote. Let's see, this is almost exactly a year ago. So I tweeted this and I said, this was just kind of a silly tweet that I wrote. I was playing Mario Kart with my boyfriend, and I wrote, "In my opinion, your chosen Mario Kart player says way more than your zodiac sign does. If they choose Toad, you're like, okay, you're an introvert. And if they choose Bowser, you're like, okay, who hurt you?" So, of course, this was sort of a joking tweet, but as you can see, it went pretty viral. It had a bunch of retweets and likes. And the comments turned into this really funny discussion of people asking me, "Oh, I usually play as, Peach Cat, you know, uh, what does that say about me?" Or "I usually play as Dry Bones. What does that character say about me?" And of course, I was responding to these and giving kind of joke responses. But what was really cool is the community kind of came together here. So after I posted this, among many of the comments that were on there, this person who I do not know, I only know him from the internet, named Steven, started a Google Doc spreadsheet of all the answers that I was giving. And I thought it was, like a fun, interesting thing to kind of do. And then it got more traction. And then he created this wonderful GitHub Pages site. It was just using some open source CSS libraries called NES CSS, and basically made this template that I could put all of these answers that I was giving in there. So this is a complete stranger on the internet, a really great example of when strangers come together and really make something fun. So from this, this actually inspired a project that I ended up doing, which used Mario Kart to determine what your zodiac sign was using the Face API. So it was kind of a really wonderful example of the internet kind of friendship network coming together. And I love sharing this example because you truly never know when you are online, be it in a forum, be it on Twitter, be it, if people are still using MySpace, Facebook, wherever it may be. There's so many wonderful developer communities online, and we're always told growing up, especially, if you're my age, with the internet, don't talk to strangers. But I'm telling you here, talk to strangers. There's some really wonderful, wonderful people out there. So which leads me to my next point. Don't invest in bad friendships. We've all had one of those bad friends, but specifically in this case, I mean, don't feed the trolls. Um, and don't be a troll. I think that kind of goes without saying, but unfortunately, some people do need a reminder. I, of course, as a woman on the internet with many followers, I experience a lot of trolls. This happens, and I encourage you to not feed the trolls. And really, what that means is a lot of times it's tempting to engage and fight and banter about things. I think a wonderful heated discussion about what the best API to do a project is a great time to have a little small argument about technology. But when it comes to anything that has to do, of course, we have a wonderful code of conduct for this particular presentation that we're doing, but always remember, anything you put on the internet is out there forever. Screenshots exist. You can always delete a tweet, but you can't really take back anything you say or put on the internet. So always be kind, be nice to everyone, shut down any bad behavior you see other people doing. Being a good community member really means don't be a troll, and especially don't feed the trolls. Took me a long time to learn that lesson as well, but really the trolls just want to engage. Where do I find friends? On Netflix. You guys seeing a theme with my slides? Totally have a friends theme here. I'm just kidding. You can find friends everywhere. I personally have met some very, very wonderful friends who have ended up being my real life friends that I've met in person over the years, through Twitter, through Instagram, through all sorts of different sources. I think we live in a really interesting age, and especially while we're all sheltering in place right now, where we can have really authentic, unique interactions and experiences with complete strangers online. So here, you're probably thinking, but Chloe, how should I start? Great question. So I would start by finding and following people that you admire. So be that around a particular technology, be that around, maybe you really like this engineer's projects that they're doing, or maybe you're a really big fan of Microsoft, so you want to follow a bunch of cloud advocates. That's a wonderful way to start, just to plug my own team here. But that's one way to do it, joining online and virtual meetups. So congratulations, you're already doing friend making by being in this talk right now. Reaching out. I know it can be really scary to DM people and reach out to people, especially strangers, but guess what? It's way easier online. And the worst thing that happens is they don't respond. So it's a really, really, if there's particular people out there that maybe you want to have mentor you or have, a one-on-one digital coffee date, just make sure that when you message them, and I'll be able to tweet an article about this later, really spell out what you want to talk to them about, what you would want advice on. Just picking someone's brain can sometimes be a little vague, so be specific with your ask. Ask around. If maybe you're like, oh, I really want to get more involved in open source. A great way to find wonderful open source communities is to ask your current friend network. And if you don't know anybody in your friend network who may be able to direct you there, tweet something out there. If you can't find what you're looking for, create your own community. Now, I will warn you, community building takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of watering that garden, so to speak. But there's truly a community for everything if you look hard enough, which my second to last slide here, I have a really, if you're not really interested in being on Twitter all the time and looking for the communities and finding the right hashtags, and maybe you just want to automate this for yourself. I actually made a video recently that you can check out at aka.ms/showandtell1. It's a very short and sweet video, about 10 to 12 minutes long. And I walk through with my coworker, Jay, how you can build a very, very simple Azure Logic app, doesn't involve any code whatsoever, that will actually create a Slack channel of a specific hashtag. So let's say that you really want to learn more about volumetric or HoloLens, or maybe you want to learn just more about mixed reality. You can actually create a Slack channel that will send you all of the tweets out there that are getting hashtagged with that. So that way you don't have to scroll through and be on Twitter all the time, and you can get these notifications kind of in the background, and it can kind of automate and make your life easier. So I think that is most of the time that I have. I will see you on the internet. You are now all of my internet friends, and I'm super, super excited to see all of you get involved with your online communities. Alrighty, I'm going to take any questions if there are any questions, but also my DMs are open on Twitter. My handle is @Chloe Condon on the slide here. So any sort of tips and tricks you're looking for, I can definitely share that out with y'all.
Thank you, Chloe. This is really extremely helpful. And then I think you have an important point that, like, if you go to community for the first time, and then if you don't feel comfortable yourself, then you can create the community. Maybe it's not your fault, but it's just that there is no community to speak for you. So yeah, I really like your presentation.
Yeah, maybe
And
you have a
also,
community of people who wear NASA hats. You can start your own community.
right. Personally, the tweet you said, "We are all home. It's okay to be scrappy. Let's be real." Gave me really a big comfort, during this quarantine.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that, the reality is we're all at home and we're all kind of in this together. It's a very unique moment in time where we're all experiencing all over the world the same thing together. So I think it's a really unique opportunity to engage with other people online in digital communities. I'm an ambivert, which is an introverted extrovert, so I still kind of crave that face-to-face human connection, of course, but it's a good opportunity to build your own online communities.
Yeah, I don't think um, I can, how to say, understand that you are introvert. You look extremely extrovert.
I can turn it on and off. It's
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
it's the acting background.
yeah. All right. So like before, I guess we feel very ashamed to like show our like poor like home or something like that. But so we put a lot of virtual background. But now I think people feel okay to show just as it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
And I
it's
think
really
it's kind
weird,
of fun to see, it's a
right?
unique time where we can see people's dogs and kids and
Right.
cats and
Yeah. So more fun and inspiring tweets on Chloe Condon. So you can find her on Twitter. And thank you for your presentation today.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, I lost. Can we Chloe back? I got the question now.
Ooh,
Sorry, Chloe.
no, you're
Sorry, I
good.
missed the question. Sorry. Um, so you can see the question on the screen. So my online presence has always been my allies, but I'm trying to put more effort into my technical blog. Would you suggest I switch to my actual details as per your friend's example?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the scenario. I think that when it comes to hiring specifically, being able to kind of attribute that blog post or whatever it is, the content that you're putting out to a person is always helpful. But if you prefer being anonymous or being under an alias, that's totally fine. Just know it's a little bit trickier, having been a recruiter in a past life, to kind of be able to connect the dots with those things. So either spell that out really clearly when you're applying to jobs or networking with folks, or if that means maybe linking it in your profile in a certain way. But yeah, I definitely don't want to discourage people from going under an alias, because I've certainly dabbled in that in the past as well. But I think as authentic as you can be in kind of being a part of these communities, the better, because then you kind of are able to put a face to the name.